Good evening, everyone. It's your host, Moose. It's episode 11 of the Buc'ing Hangover. MRod and Moose here to break it down for you. It's a victory Wednesday night / Thursday morning. Let's hit that intro.
Touchdown, Tampa Bay, fire those cannons.
Oh my.
Hope you're having a good Thanksgiving Eve. It's your host, Moose, with the Buc'ing Hangover. And I'm joined by my co-host. He is here. We're celebrating Thanksgiving Eve together with the Buc'ing Hangover. It's MRod. There he is. How's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty good.
Fedora on head.
As always.
As we're ready to go. We're still trying to get a good bet for either the fedora coming off or for me wearing a fedora. I think all bets are off at this point of the year.
Absolutely. But pretty excited. This is one of those rare episodes where we get to talk about a Buccaneer victory.
That's right.
So,
it's a victory. It's a shame we had to wait till Wednesday to do the show. I think both of us are feeling a little bit under the weather. I'm still feeling allergies. But we're happy to be celebrating a Buccaneer win at least, being positive, especially after kind of getting after him last week after a tough loss. So, once again, welcome to episode 11 of Buc'ing Hangover. As a reminder, we are always putting live videos out on YouTube, but now you can also listen to us streaming on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify and, of course, on Google Podcasts as well. Those are all verified. We've been added on there. And our other show, $10 Sports, is also on there as well. All our old episodes are on there as well as this episode you're listening to right now. So make sure to follow us on our channel at Balls, Brews, and Bros on YouTube. And then, of course, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. How do you feel about that, Mike? We're getting up with the times. We're making sure people can listen to us while they're driving. Not forced to watch us on YouTube while they're driving. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, that was a safety hazard, and I was really not looking forward to a potential lawsuit in the mail that someone was rear into the car in front of them because they were listening to Buc'ing Hangover, $10 Sports, and
Right.
they had no choice but to watch it. So
Exactly.
now we are safeguarding ourselves, and that's not an excuse because there's multiple ways that you can listen to us now.
We were forcing you to listen to us and watch us on YouTube while driving. Don't quote me on that, but now you have options. Make sure you're finding us on Spotify. Really easy to find us, as well on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. So let's jump right into this past Sunday's game in Week 12 of the NFL season. Just a great game overall for the Buccaneers. I mean, these are the type of games that you like watching because they had a comfortable lead basically throughout. Jameis was Jameis at some points, but for the most part, played the way that you want him to play. Just game manager, didn't have to carry the team, made the play. I think the play calling was a lot better. Simple throws, get the ball in your playmaker's hands, and just let it ride.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely control the game, looked a lot more poised, a lot more patient. He did make some weird looking throws though, like jumping and throwing at the same time. But he got them completed, and a lot of those kind of like, I'd say 50%, it's like 70% of some of those were luck because the way he was throwing it, the angles he was throwing it to, he got them there. But at the same time, once he released that ball, the way his footwork was, I was like, yeah, that's an interception. But it wasn't. So yeah, no, I'm pretty excited. This is a win here, so I like to kind of do our shows where we win as if it's our last winning show because we don't really know when's the next time we're going to see one of these. So,
and worst case scenario, we go out as winners. So we want to make sure we celebrate this win just in case this is the last one. I don't think that's the case. A good thing is that we play Atlanta one more time, so hopefully that's a win in the win column for the Bucs. But again, Jameis, so it's just amazing how having the lead changes your play calling. Only 28 passes called for the Buccaneers. Didn't have the total number on rushes. Rojo with at least 12 of those attempts for 51 yards. Again, he's over his 4 4-yard average that we like seeing. There should be a picture of Chris Godwin. I left Cameron Brate there. But Chris Godwin, very, very strong fantasy game and real life game. 7 receptions, 184, and his 2 touchdowns, putting him over 1,000 yards. Mike Evans was also hitting the 1,000 yard plateau for the season with 4 games to go. I mean, it's been a pretty good offensive performance for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it was very balanced.
Yeah, it's just a very balanced attack. I'm glad we ran more than 8 times. But
It was a total of 34 times if you're counting Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston had 8 rushes. So if you want to subtract those, we had about...
who carried the so 34 minus 8? What's that gives us 26. Who carried the other 14? I guess the split with Dare Abugabale and
he only had 1, and then we had like a reversed wide receiver, Roman Scotty Miller.
Right.
And Peyton Barber had 11 carries.
Ah, okay, interesting, very good. But yeah, RJ2 leading the way with 51 yards. He had
a really good series where he actually looked really good. I think he may rush like 30 something yards on that series alone, and he had that run for a touchdown where he was spinning and no one could bring him down. It was a nice little. I don't remember exact yards, but closer about 10-yard run for a touchdown.
Yeah, no, it's. I've been saying it all year. It's just we have to commit, and I know sometimes we don't. I mean, I think last week's game was a great example against the Saints, where just the rushing game wasn't going to be there. But his average for the year is I think 4.1 yards a carry. It's just we have to get better on the offensive line next year, and we have to become more balanced because especially if we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like next year. I mean. Let's assume that we give Jameis a 1-year short-term deal. We have to be more balanced. We can't rely on him to win games, 15 or 16 weeks out of the season. I mean, we have to provide him with, again, he's going to be a system quarterback. He's going to be someone that we have to help. On the defensive side, we have Sean Murphy-Bunting actually leading the way with 9 tackles. Yesterday, who had our picks for us yesterday? I think Carlton Davis had one, and Ndamukong Suh, right? Or was he a fumble recovery?
Yeah, he was a fumble recovery.
Fumble recovery for a touchdown. And then I think it was Carlton Davis, strong showing for the secondary. I know we were kind of ripping him a new one early in the year, but man, is the tide turning in this Todd Bowles defense, Mike?
Yeah, Devin White, 2 sacks. Shaq Barrett had his 1. Vita Vea sack, JPP and Carl Nassib. We had about a total of about 8 sacks that game. No, 6 sacks. I'm sorry. We had about 6 sacks that game. So, I mean, we had the pass rush was there. I mean, you can tell Matt Ryan did not look comfortable at all. Obviously, he didn't even throw for a touchdown. So, Matt Ryan is definitely an elite quarterback. So he's not somebody who, it's just a pushover. So I'm very proud of our defense. Jamal Dean, actually, after that Seattle game, he's actually stepped it up every game ever since that. So, I was excited to see that.
Absolutely. And, he's kind of... I know we gave the secondary a hard time, but I'm actually kind of excited now, just seeing their performance really after the first half of the season. I think we might have something there, and I didn't really realize it until an episode or 2 ago where we kind of went through the draft. And these guys are first and second round draft picks that are... 22, 23, 24 years old. I mean, there is still tremendous upside, and I think it's just hard to be patient because I feel, as a Bucs fan, you've been patient for, double-digit years now, waiting for something good to happen. But maybe it's just me being the optimist right now, but I think we're at a turning point where we say it almost every week, just 1 or 2 key positions, and it's going to be really interesting how we manage this offseason. We're anticipating over $90 million of cap space. We're going to one of our hot topics for today is, which of these pass rushers, which are going to be commanding some pretty solid paydays, are we going to hang on to, and who are we going to let walk? And we'll get to that in a few minutes when we get to our hot topics. So we talked about what went well. Basically, just such a well-balanced game. We got a picture of Vita Vea with his big boy touchdown. Heaviest man to ever score on a passing touchdown, or maybe ever. I have to.
No, there's definitely something bigger than him.
No, look that up. I promise you, he outweighs Refrigerator Perry.
Really, and
On
Warren Sapp and all those guys. Oh.
outweighs him. He's at like
No, Don
350.
Terry Poe. So he's bigger than Don Terry Poe.
You got to look it up. I'm telling you that was the big tagline was Vita Vea is at least what's on the scouting report the heaviest individual to score a touchdown in the history of the NFL.
Don Terry Poe, weight 346 pounds.
Vita Vea's 350s, 355. Believe he is a muscular 355 because he does not look that big.
Well, it says 346, so he is, I guess, a little bigger. Oh, they're both the exact same. Well, maybe he's bulked up this season. So
yeah, they were showing him in the 350s this year. So I don't. He is a beast of a man, but running that flat route like it was nothing into the corner pylon looked like a pro doing it as well. So congratulations, Vita Vea, on that touchdown. Very talented individual. Then of course Chris Godwin getting in on the action. It's been great to see Mike and Chris Godwin really balance themselves out. You know, if one's having a down game, it's usually the other one who's picking up the slack, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice that Winston has more than one target, too, that he can depend on. Chris Godwin's definitely a dependable receiver. I don't see him really make any crazy drops or miss routes. So, I mean, Chris Godwin's definitely a very valuable number 2 receiver that I'm very glad that we have.
And I think you pointed out as we were preparing for the show that really far. So we have 2 receivers that are honestly getting close to 1,100 yards at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And our third leading receiver, unfortunately, is O.J. Howard in the 200-yard range.
It's
so
big gap.
That's a big gap, and it's something we have to find a way to address. And we have to have our slot receiver on there. I mean, I think Brashad Perriman's been extremely disappointing, and honestly, we're kind of getting better results from Scotty Miller at this point, which is, I think he's slated in there as our number 4 and number 5 receiver. So if we're able to get Jameis some consistent weapons, I think we are an over 500 football team next year.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
It's just we need consistency from O.J. Howard, and we need a slot option. It's just not happening.
A name that's actually I haven't heard much this year was our slot receiver from last year, Adam Humphries. He left and signed that contract with Tennessee, and we were all disappointed because everyone here in Tampa liked him, and we really hated to see him go. But he has not done much since leaving Tampa Bay.
He did. I think he did score a touchdown against the Bucs though, in the Buccaneers. It's amazing.
His only touchdown of the year.
Of course, against the Buccaneers, he really wanted that one, just like Gerald McCoy wanted those 3 sacks or whatever he had in London. So, what didn't go so well? I mean, it's really hard to pick something, and really kicking was a little bit of a challenge. I think we verified on the field goal front. I think Matt Gay was 1 for 1, but had one extra point blocked and then missed 2 of them. So I think we were fortunate that it wasn't critical at this point. We had such a large enough lead, and when you're looking, margin of victory could have been as high as 38-22 had he made all those 3 extra points. So just got to shore up the kicking game. But
had to get out of his system.
This is a good game to get it out of the system. It's not the New York Giants game where your critical miss is coming. Go ahead and these unimportant games, get those misses out of the system. But overall, I think when you add up the extra points and the field goals, if you're looking at our stats down below, of course, we have our rolling stats. I think he's 86% on kicks, which, I think I'll take any day of the week. And that includes his, I think he's 4 or 5 kicks made of over 50 yards. Don't quote me on that, but those include some pretty difficult kicks that he has made, and we of course don't want to forget those as well. So keeping an eye on you, Matt Gay. Yeah, we had to pick on you just because everything else basically went pretty well in the game.
Yep, we definitely support Gay, so absolutely.
Then our NFC South standings, I make the same joke every week. Thank you so much for not making me change up the standings. Though I'm pretty excited. No, I don't think it'll happen next week. Carolina's got a pretty easy game. I think are they playing the Redskins next week? I think they are.
Carolina.
I'm pretty sure they're playing the Redskins or someone that they're favored by 10, whoever they're playing. So
Yeah, something like that.
next week won't be the week I switch it up, assuming the Bucs beat the Jaguars. But hopefully in the near future we'll be switching up the Bucs, maybe getting a second place finish at the end of it all. NFC leader though, 10-1 San Francisco, kind of a surprising win against the Packers. I know when we get to $10 sports in a little bit, you had picked the Packers, but San Francisco holding strong at 10-1,
Yeah.
right there with the New England Patriots.
Yeah, no, their pass rush just absolutely prevented Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers possibly had his worst career game against 49ers. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I got to start buying into the hype and finally giving in on the 49ers because I do bet against them pretty much every single week, and they always prove me wrong. However, the 10-1 team, the only loss they had was against the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if anybody watched that game, but it went down to literally the last minute of overtime. Could have gone either way, and San Francisco basically their kicker could have won that game, and he missed a game-winning kick. So I know the feeling of that as being a Bucs fan, losing by a kick. But kudos to San Francisco. Very, very interested and excited to watch that San Francisco versus Ravens game because it's maybe potentially a Super Bowl little teaser because both teams look absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's going to be a fire game. Part of me I don't know, just the way the Ravens dismantled the, God, who they play last week?
They play the Rams.
Yeah, the way they dismantled the Rams, oh my gosh. In the pseudo color rush game, the purples against the yellows, they have to be number one in everyone's power rankings, and I don't want to crown an AFC Championship game, but I am really looking forward to that rematch against the Patriots.
Because Ravens already got the best of them, but like I said last time, that Belichick ain't showing off his cards because he knows this is a playoff team, so he left a lot of things off film that the Ravens have not seen yet, and the Ravens will see for the first time when it comes to playoffs. So.
And of course, the weather should be probably the same whether you're playing in Boston or if you're playing in Baltimore. So I don't know if there'll be much of a home field advantage other than the crowds. So Saints, of course, leading the division. They should win that easily. They'll probably clinch in the next week or two. Panthers 5-6. I don't expect any teams to make the playoffs out of the NFC South this year. So just kind of playing for draft position now. I'm hoping. If we're hoping to make a move at quarterback, that we're not playing ourselves out of the draft pick we need to go grab one of the top 3 quarterback prospects. I mean, it's likely looking that we might be out of the top 10 if we keep winning and we hit some of the projections that we'll talk about in a little bit in terms of wins in the season. But those are your NFC South standings for now. And then, of course, as we always do, what's next for the Bucs? Florida matchup. It's very rare. Once every couple years, we get to play a couple Florida teams. We'll be playing Nick Foles and the Jaguars up in Jacksonville this upcoming Sunday, ringing in December, the home stretch of the season. Leonard Fournette and Yannick Ngakoue as well facing the Bucs. I mean, how do you feel about this game? I'm not really too excited about it.
Nah, just Jacksonville hasn't been looking that good lately. It hasn't been the same Jacksonville defense that we've all feared over the past couple of years. They seem pretty bendable. And then ever since, what's his name? What did they call him in Philadelphia? Big Dick Nick, ever since he's been back. He's been 0-2, so he hasn't looked too sharp. Hopefully this is not the game where he finally got all the rust off and is going to look lights out. Which is, against the Bucs, that's typically when teams do that the best. But I think the Bucs can pretty much hold their own on this one. I mean, Leonard Fournette's pretty much the main threat on that offense, and Buccaneers defense has number 1 against the rush. So I think we can handle Leonard Fournette there. Just kind of hope that Nick Foles doesn't have his magic and throws like 5 touchdown passes, which I don't see happening. I'm pretty confident the Bucs win on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you on that as well. I think hopefully, of course, we said that a couple weeks ago when we were getting to the Giants game. We were anointing ourselves NFC South champions, and we saw what happened. So I'm hoping the Bucs take care of business because the Jaguars, they should. Really, the only outside threat, DJ Chark maybe. I mean, but I'm pretty confident with the strides our secondary has made over the last few weeks that we should take care of the Jaguars and move on to 5-7. So that brings us to our hot topics, Mike. Got a couple questions to discuss with you before we break for episode 11. Big question and heading into the offseason because, let's face it, we're not really going to have playoffs to talk about, but we should be planning for NFL season 2020 where I think the Bucs could potentially make big moves, especially with potentially a retirement in New Orleans. Potentially Cam Newton moving on. I think the NFC South could really become anyone's game in the upcoming years. So, who stays and who goes on the pass rush? I think you named all these three guys when you were going over what was going well with the pass rush. You see JPP, you see Carl Nassib up there, Ndamukong Suh, and Shaq Barrett. We got $90 million to spend. Who stays and who goes?
From those four guys, I'm going to say Jason Pierre-Paul, depending if he takes a slight discount from staying in Tampa. I mean, towards the end of his career, I'm really not going to get no big contract anywhere. Same thing with Ndamukong Suh. One of those two. Ooh, what the heck's going on here? Hold on.
What happened?
Oh, sorry. I was looking at some link here and some Target commercial popped up in my ear.
Hey, it is Black Friday coming up.
Did you hear it?
No.
No, it just popped in my ear. I was like freaking out. But anyway, so one of those two guys are going to stay. One will go, I'm assuming. I guess whichever one gives us a better discount there. Kind of hoping. I like Sue because him and Villa, I think, had done a great job of stopping the run there. So I like what they're done in the middle. Shaq Barrett, he's unfortunately not going to stay. He's going to be
that could be like a $18 million man right there. I mean that's almost it's going to be a fifth of what we have to spend. I don't. It's a shame because he's been so great.
No, he's been great. I just think we have Lamont Dave. We got Devin White. I don't know what we're going to do with the outside linebacker spot. Maybe draft somebody in the mid rounds. If we can get like another Quan Alexander, that'd be amazing. But anyways, I just think Shaq Barrett has definitely priced himself out of Tampa. I don't blame him. I mean, the guy had a phenomenal year. He deserves every cent he's getting. He's played he was from Denver, overlooked. Tampa gave him a chance. He beat out Noah Spence for the position and came out here and just played lights out. And wish him the best. Carl Nassib, not too sure to be honest with you. He was on the Browns, drafted, I want to say, second or third round. Played in the Browns for a couple of years, got cut, signed by the Buccaneers. He's had a decent time here for a couple of years with the Bucs. I don't know if he's really done enough for himself to make him a big free agent target. But I think he's someone that may stay here. But Shaq Barrett's gone, unfortunately. Our secondary is pretty young, so that'll stay pretty much intact.
Yeah, and I think the linebacker core is going to, at least the middle linebackers are going to stay intact as well. Looking at Carl Nassib's stats, so far in the year, 23 tackles, 4 sacks, no turnovers forced. Trying to look at last year. He had a couple good games last year as well, but somewhat injury prone he can be. So, I don't know. I mean, at a discount, he could be effective. I think. I hope we're not gonna pay him any sort of crazy money, but I don't know. Part of me hopes that we find a way to work with Shaq Barrett. I mean, we haven't seen that pass rush in a long time here in Tampa. I mean, it's been years since we've actually been getting into the backfield. So I don't know what Jason Light has to do. He needs to find a way to make it work with Jason Barrett. But I agree with Ndamukong Suh. He's been, playing in the right next to Vita Vea. It's been really great to see that chemistry and they've kind of alternate pressure, and they've been effective. I mean, forcing turnovers. JPP, I think you're right too, though. Right, his value is going down, and if he's able to take a hometown discount and he wants to keep playing, I mean, we're welcome to have him. I mean, he's his first game back had a sack. I don't know if he's done too much since then, but you know, I think he can still be effective. Moving on to the second question for you, Mike. Do you still consider Ronald Jones a bust after the performance he's had this year, and hopefully maybe Bruce Arians utilizes them better going on to the future?
Yeah, I mean, he shows some flashes, but I just don't think the volume has been there so far to really say, all right, this guy is the real deal, or this guy is not the real deal. He's still a big question mark for me. Not going to answer that question yet. I need to see more volume. I want to see like a 20 carry game. That's what I want to see before I can make that.
I've been begging for it. I have been begging for the 20 carry game. It's just we love the platoon system, and I don't understand why. He's fresh. I mean, we haven't been using him for the past 2 or 3 years. Why don't we just commit to a game plan where he is the feature back?
I guess Peyton Barber, he likes him a lot, and he likes dare. He likes to dare you to get more than 12 carries. So I think I just think he likes to keep him fresh. He has the whole fresh legs mentality, which I don't get. I mean, when he had David Johnson in Arizona, he ran David Johnson to the ground.
Right. It's just I'm hoping that he still gets a chance because I've said it from the beginning of the year. It's like this has to be our guy, and when he gets good blocking and when we commit to him, he produces for you. I mean, his average is over 4 for the year, and that's like you said at a lower volume, but still, no one else has a 4-yard carry average on the team. Peyton Barber certainly doesn't. I think he's closer to 3.5, but that's what you want for your running back. You want 4 yards. Mm-hmm. 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2. That's a lot better than 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10 when you're throwing 2 incompletions. I mean, that's exactly what we saw in the Saints game. So it was Jameis Winston going back 1st and 2nd down, incomplete. It's 3rd and 10. Then we had a false start penalty, 3rd and 15. So I'm hoping that we commit to him moving forward. But the big question, of course, and I know you are not a fan of free agency, and it's very rare to see free agency actually work out for a team. But, getting ready to knowing that the Bucs have $90 million before any re-signings, of course. What do you think should be our big targets and our big areas of need?
Like I said, I don't like free agency because I just feel like there's a lot of asymmetrical information when it comes to free agency. If a player's that good and he's that valuable, their team's gonna do whatever they can to keep him. If they don't want to keep him, and then you're just adopting someone's used goods. So not a big fan. But when it comes to needs, I mean, if we can just find a way to keep Shaq Barrett and keep the guys we have for another year or two, I'd be happy with that with our cap space. But I do think what we need is time to move on from Jameis Winston. He definitely has a bad rap here. Yes, he looked great, but I mean, he's just at every 3 or 4 games. I would say maybe find us like a bridge quarterback. I know like Dak Prescott's out there, but he's not going anywhere.
We all know he's going to sign.
Yeah.
Let's look at the quarterback list. I mean, let me bring that up here on our screen. These are what's anticipated for 2020, of course. Dak Prescott, we know. Jameis Winston, Tom Brady. I mean, these are all guys we know are either A, going to retire, or B, going to sign with their teams, right? But this is a name right here, Phillip Rivers, that you and I were kind of joking about. This is interesting to me. The more I think about it, the more I kind of like the idea of bringing in a Phillip Rivers, because I think the Chargers may be ready to move
Jacoby, on. That's an old list because Jacoby Brissett, I thought, got that extension.
Right, so he probably has that extension as of the retirement of Andrew Luck. So this is probably
whatever happened. I thought Tannehill was a free agent this year too.
It's a good question. He's not in the top 5, is my guess of available quarterbacks.
I got you. Because I kind of leaning towards like a bridge quarterback, and to get us through the next couple of years. I don't think bringing a quarterback with this offensive line is going to really do much favors for many people. So, my opinion, I'd say go after someone like a Tannehill, who's proven, done a pretty good job. Philip Rivers, I think, will bring some veteran leadership, something that we haven't had at that quarterback position for a while,
And 8 kids.
and brings 8 kids to the Bay Area as well. Um, but I mean, if we can get like a Philip Rivers here for like on a 2-year deal, I'm not going to say I expect him to win a Super Bowl or get a playoff. I just expect him to bring some leadership presence there, and maybe get a quarterback in like the third or fourth round who can mentor behind him for a couple seasons. I think that might be the way to go. How I would kind of like handle it
Well, heck,
personally.
if we're able to, I think the Bucs end up at. I mean, realistically, let's say they win Jacksonville, probably lose to the Colts, probably lose to the Texans, beat the Falcons. So where does that put us? 6-10, 7-9 at best,
Probably between 10, 15, possibly.
right? So maybe we get. I mean, I think that would be fantasy scenario, or
Well,
best case scenario is
see,
Philip Rivers with Justin Herbert sitting behind him for 2 years.
now, what happened was Tua, his injury is going to shuffle up the draft. So a lot of quarterbacks go much
That's
quicker than
right.
expected because you got Joe Burrow.
Yep,
I wouldn't be surprised if Herbert now is moving up to like a top 5 pick
you're
now.
right. Tua's probably dropping into the second or third round.
If he does come out, because he might want to play another year to build
Exactly.
up his stock. So it's going to depend on if he comes in or not. But I can see like maybe like a team with a later pick in there drafting him. Maybe imagine him going to the Patriots as a future quarterback if he drops that low.
It's amazing. Gosh, it's like they always end up with something amazing. It's like, we'll take Tua, no big deal. Uh,
Give him a year to rest behind Brady for another year and
but
stuff. So.
I think you're absolutely right, though. For even, I haven't looked too much into second tier quarterbacks. I think we all know the Joe Burrows and the Herberts may not be available. But I wonder who's a diamond in the rough in their second round, third round quarterback prospect that could sit behind Philip Rivers. Because I really like the Philip Rivers idea, and I know it's probably not going to happen because the Bucs don't make moves like that. They do not make splashy moves like that. But
And another thing that maybe something towards Philip Rivers is, Bruce Arians, he, brought in a veteran quarterback, Carson Palmer, towards the end of his career, and Carson Palmer, gave like 2, 3 really good seasons for the Cardinals. Something that and people thought he was done after how poor he was in Oakland. And he came to the Cardinals, and he actually looked really good. And I think, give Philip Rivers those 2 receivers we have, maybe Ronald Jones steps it up a little bit. And that's what, because in the draft, I'm thinking the first 2 rounds, honestly, I'm thinking get the best available offensive lineman. And if we can't keep all of our D line, get the best available defensive lineman. So that's how I'm thinking draft wise, trying to build up that line because, like I always tell everybody, to win a football game, it's very basic. You keep your quarterback comfortable, make the other one uncomfortable, and you're usually going to win every single year. Not every single year, but almost every single game.
right,
So you win through that O line and D line. I mean, great defensive linemen build Pro Bowl secondaries, and great offensive line make Pro Bowl running backs and receivers. So that's where it all starts, and that's
yeah.
where I think we need to focus.
I don't know. I don't think truer words have ever been said about the game of football. Right there. I mean, we have to build at the line, and we're almost there. We are almost there. I think it's a piece or two on both sides of the ball, and we could be in business in the next year or two, provided that we get the quarterback issue solved in the next year or two. So,
Jake Fromm, I'm really liking Jacob Easton as like the second, third round guy. There's some quarterbacks out there. Jordan Love, he's from Utah, like a second or fourth round projection guy. I like he's got like that kind of like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson type of game. If if we're trying to build something there, but Jacob Easton, Jake Fromm, I think we can maybe take in the second round. Someone who Lamar Jackson may have opened the door for is Jalen Hurts too. He's projected to be a late pick, but hey,
No, that's a great point. I just don't know what type of game Bruce Arians wants to play. I don't know if we have the offensive line with the finesse to be able to man a running quarterback. That'd be interesting, I think, for sure. So, kind of with all that in mind, knowing our opponents, we're 3/4 of the way through the season. What is your final prediction for the Buccaneers' final record?
I'm sorry, another guy, Sam Ellinger of Texas. He's projected to be like a 6th-round pick,
Yeah,
someone late like that.
interesting. Yeah, being in the Austin area, I know everyone has loved Sam, and over the last few weeks, a lot of that love has gone away with Texas's struggles in the Big 12 play. Most recently a big loss to Baylor, and they're at home and they are underdogs at home to Texas Tech. I think they play tomorrow or Friday. I think in the afternoon. So that'd be interesting. Sam Ellinger, I think, has some upside. Uh, but I guess as we get close to the draft, we'll see where the Bucs end up in their selection spot. So final record predictions for the Buccaneers. We got 4 games to go, or 5 games to go. It's week 13, right? 13, 14, 5 games to go. Right now the Bucs are, what are we at? 4-7. Where do we end up in the last final 5?
Um, I don't know. I think we could take the Jaguars. Colts at home depends which team shows up, but if I had a bet now, I'd say I give that to the Colts. They got a good defense. Um, Lions, given their quarterback struggles now,
We should take the Lions.
yeah, so that's 2 there.
We should take the
Um,
Falcons.
I don't think we take the Texans.
No.
But the Falcons, I mean, historically, whether we're good or we're bad, or Falcons are good or bad, we usually split with them for some reason. So I would say we end up with 2 to 3 more wins. But yeah, 2 to 3 more wins. What's that put us at? Like
So are you gonna go 6-10 or 7-9? This is our
6 and
blood
10.
our blood
We need
pact. 6 and
10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna go optimistic. I'm gonna go 8-8, and I think they lose only to the Texans. I think they take one at home against the Colts. I think we're gonna all be surprised. 8-8. I would consider that a successful season. Is after all the crazy struggles we've had, I would take 8-8. Now my
I don't
question,
know if you're being optimistic though. That means you're hurting our draft spot.
I know, and I'm also concerned that 8-8 gives us Jameis for another year. That we're crazy enough to be like, okay, 8-8 with what you had around you.
See, the problem with Jameis is it doesn't give us Jameis for another year. It gives us Jameis for 4 to 5 years. And even if it doesn't last that long, it gives us a huge cap hit.
But I just don't. He can't be commanding $30 million a year. He just can't. He doesn't have the stats.
He can't command that, but the market does. And
The market's not going to command. No one's going to pay Jameis Winston. Come on.
I mean, if Dak Prescott's making 40, I mean, 30 million is like a steal.
30 million. What are we going to pay
I'd
him a
say
million?
minimum.
Are we going to pay him a
Minimum.
million per interception? Is that what we're paying him on?
If we extend him, we will pay
25 million. That is the most I would pay for Jameis.
That's the
25
minimum.
million a year.
That is the minimum he'll make. It's probably about 25 million.
That's fine. That's a fine cap hit. I'll take that for a quarterback who if he evolves as a game manager, I will take that. I will take 25 million. If he can reduce his interceptions by 35%, because he's probably going to end up with 25 at the end of this year. If we can get that down to 18.
See, based on Phillip Rivers' terrible year this year, I would rather pay him 2 years, $15 million, $20 million for 2 years as a come and retire here in Tampa and be our bridge.
20 million a year or 10 million a year?
No, I say 10. 2 years, 20 million. So
he doesn't take 10 million. No way he takes 10
oh,
million.
who's going to pay him more than that? Look how terrible a year he's had.
I think he'd rather retire. 38 at 38. How much is Drew Brees making at 39, 40?
I guess you're right. Maybe 15 a year. Maybe he'll take.
All right, we'll throw him some bones at 15 million a year, but I don't know. I just I'm curious to see how the offseason is going to play out because I think if we end up at 7-9 or 8-8, I think we end up with Jameis for a couple more years.
Actually, you know who I want as our bridge? I want Sam Bradford.
Sam, where is Sam Bradford right now?
He's probably waiting for $10 Sports to come up at home because I don't think he's playing anywhere right now.
Ah, poor Sam Bradford. His
He's
career
a good
was.
bridge quarterback, though, man.
I mean, I guess I don't know.
I mean, was the bridge to Carson Wentz, the bridge to Kirk Cousins, the bridge to Kyler Murray? I mean, the guy, he's like good luck Chuck. Whenever he plays on a team, he leaves and they get a good quarterback
I
after.
guess yeah. If you need a guy to get you into the draft position that you need to take your next franchise quarterback, Sam Bradford's guy. You're right. All right, I think that's all the time we have left for Buc'ing Hangover. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Episode 11, good episode. We have a couple episodes left for this season. I guess we'll discuss what we do with the playoffs because we know the Bucs aren't going to make the playoffs this year, but maybe we'll have some special editions as we get into off season and into free agency and the draft as well. So hope you have a great night. Again, big reminder, do not forget, you can always watch us live on YouTube. We upload a couple times a week, $10 Sports, Bucking Hangover, and the Thunderdome Puckcast, which I know I owe you an episode. And then, of course, find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts as well. So we're your hosts, Moose and MRod with $10 Sports. They're with, man, it's been a long night. With Bucking Hangover. We will see you next week. Go Bucs.
Have a good night.
Beat those Jaguars.